Okay, let's start. Load boost sensor. If you guys want to see the full version, please go to the orange tube. I mean, you're not really missing out much though on this part. Like, honestly, you don't have full on sex with this character until like towards like the halfway point. Hello? Lean down. My eyes have adjusted a bit more to the dark, and I'm barely able to make out what I think are paws reaching up towards me. I crouch down, and Amicus grabs me under the arms before pulling me clumsily off the deck of the ship. My face smashes up against the furry chest before I sit down on my feet. Alright, so we're going to go straight to my room. Try not to make too much noise. I start to nod, but Amicus is already pulling me along. The humidity presses down on me like a physical force, and I start to worry that I might actually have trouble surviving in this moon. It's really hot. The things will cool down off once we're inside. I can hear him panting heavily as we move through the hangar. I still can't see much, just angular shapes in the darkness, but finally I see some light ahead along with some cold air. We turn a corner, and I have to blink against how bright it suddenly becomes. I look around at the pillars and marble floors, the bright light above me, and what looks like garden complete with statues extending out through the archways. Well, at least I know Amicus wasn't lying about living in a palace. What do you think? Wow, I mean, it looks really cool, really expensive. I don't know if that last part was such a great compliment, but Amicus seems happy. Thanks. It's going to be your home for a while, so I'm glad you like it. Amicus adjusts his cape, fanning it out a little. This is only a small portion of the palace, of course. I'll show you around later, but for now I want to go to my room and just dry out a little. I must look like a mess right now. The humidity doesn't do my fur any favors. I can tell Amicus is genuinely embarrassed, even if he's trying to joke, so I put a hand on my hair. I have a little less to worry about, but I'm sure my hair is pretty crazy right now. True, that patch of fur really is something though. The wolf reaches out and touches my hair, rubbing it up between the pads on his fingers. We've made physical contact several times over the last day, but this is the first time that it really feels friendly. We stand there for a moment, just long enough for things to get awkward. Amicus pulls his hand back suddenly, as if realizing what he's doing. Oh, He's saved from having to think of something to say as we both hear footsteps coming up the hall to our right. Shit. What? Hide and be quiet. Amicus whispers loudly at me and suddenly pushes me back the way we came. I stumble before scrambling around the corner. The footsteps get louder as I stand up and press my back against the wall listening. Amicus! I jump, the person almost shouting Amicus' name. Cassius. Amicus' deeper voice responds, sounding cool and collected. Where the hell have you been? His voice is higher pitched and a little more articulate than Amicus's. I start to look around the corner and then hesitate, then I do it anyways, wanting to see who this person is. Luckily, Amicus has moved further down the room, so I'm slightly behind this Cassius guy. I see a white wolf, quite a bit smaller compared to Amicus, but no less intimidating, maybe even more so. I can tell by his demeanor that he's probably not a fun person to be around. I was out hunting. Is something wrong? Hunting? For 2 days? Is that a joke? Was it that long? Yes, you were supposed to make a speech in Lux yesterday. How many times did we remind you of it? Cassius takes a deep breath. Really, Amicus, you seem to expect everyone to cover up your mistakes. I can't comprehend how you could have forgotten. I lost track of time. That's not an excuse. How do you expect to become emperor if you act this way? Amicus' growl. Don't ever pretend, Cass. You're probably happy I missed it. That's ridiculous. Amicus, I only want what's best for the Empire. Amicus opens his mouth and shuts it suddenly. No, I'm not doing this tonight. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. Cassius quietly regards Amicus for a moment and shakes his head. Well, Virginia went in your stead, so you have her to thank when she returns. She's better at that sort of thing anyways. The point was to show Lux that the next possible emperor stands solitary with them. Sending your sister is not a good look. Well, walking around in undergarment doesn't look good either. You think that's how an emperor should behave? No one's awake, Amicus. Don't be such a pup. I'm just saying you look really small without your armor. Now that is not a good look for an emperor. Excuse me? What? I only want what's best for the empire, and a little run like you definitely isn't. They stare at each other for a long time, and though I have no idea what's going on, I can almost see the electricity arc seeing between them. Finally, Cassius turns on his heel and stalks away, tail swishing fiercely. I'm not good with that word. The drama. There'll be more drama between those two. Good night, Amicus. Amicus stands there for a moment, still puffed out a little before he finally deflates. Damn it. I stand quietly around the corner, waiting for Amicus to call me back. When he doesn't, I whisper at him, Amicus? His ears pricks up and he turns to me. Hey, come on. We should go before anyone else decides to show up. Okay. I can tell by the way the wolf walks, his ears slightly down, his tail almost dragging, that he's not in such a good mood. You alright? Yeah, I'm fine. My brother just knows how to irritate me, and I shouldn't have said that to him. We quietly walk through the marble halls, the echoing of our footsteps the only sound. Is he not supposed to see me? I just need to think of it. The right way to introduce you. Now isn't the best time. Is he the one that challenged you for the throne? Amicus is quiet for a moment before heaving a huge sigh. Yes, and he's really starting to turn my life upside down because of it. Sometimes I think he just sees this all as a game. We come to a stop as what looks like a door. It's completely smooth though, made of what also looks like marble. Amicus isn't making any move to open it. And you know, he's never seemed concerned for me and my duties until after he made his challenge. That's what bothers me the most, knowing that it's all an act. I guess you're not really close with them then. Not since we were pups, no. A disturbing thought suddenly hits me. Well, you know, in Earth, ancient Rome, the place where you guys uplifted, people would kill each other over the throne, like a lot. Does that happen here? Amicus frowns. I suppose it happened in the past, but that was long time ago. Besides, Cassius would never do something like that. Amicus sticks out his paw and presses it to the black square on the wall. The door slides open without a sound. I feel a rush of cool air come out of the room, and Amicus lets out a happy sigh as he steps inside. Ah, that's much better. My dad's advisor keeps the climate way too hot in the rest of the palace. I follow the wolf inside and look around. Aside from a few quirks, the room looks like it could have come straight out of a luxury hotel on Earth. Amicus sits heavily on the bed, making it squeak. He starts to strip off his clothing. Oh? Toilets and baths are in there. He nods ahead at another door across the bed. Then he jabs a thumb back at the large curtain. That's the balcony if you want to get some air, though I don't know why you would in this weather. Then he points at the couch. And that can be where you sleep, if that's alright with you. I've known other aliens to prefer the floor, though. The couch is fine. I walk over to the red sofa, sizing it up. It's more than big enough, but as I pick up a little black pillow, I notice it's covered in fur. I inconspicuously pick some of it off before a light blanket smacks into the back of my head. Ha ha ha, there you go. Is that all okay? Yeah, this is good. I hope the blanket will be enough to keep off the cold that seems to be wafting down from the ceiling. Good. Like I said earlier, I'll show you the rest of the palace tomorrow. We'll get some real food too. Amicus falls back on the bed, not bothering to draw up any blankets, his eyes closed. I actually want real food now, but I don't say anything and instead lay down, the sofa a bit harder than I expected. Good support, I guess. As I'm settling in, I think Amicus has already fallen asleep, but that's when he speaks again. And thanks, Kenny. I don't know what he's thanking me for. For not killing him on the ship? For agreeing to help him become emperor? For the way I took this shitty sofa and flimsy blanket without complaint? I'm not sure, so all I say is, sure. Then I hear the wolves snoring softly and the light suddenly dims down until they're off. I lay there a while, though I'm not sure for how long. In fact, time seems to have lost all meaning since I was abducted. Amicus' brother said it has been 2 days, but didn't Amicus say that time freezes when traveling in the stretch drive? Have we really spent that much time idling around? I need to stop thinking about everything that doesn't make sense, because that's basically everything. I just need to help this wolf so I can get the hell back home. Then I can pick apart everything I've been through all I want. For now, I just need to help things move along as smoothly as possible. With that thought in my head, and with the soft sound of Amicus' gentle snoring, I'm lulled into a light and troubled sleep. The dream I have is strange. I'm in a black void of some kind, and despite the emptiness, I have some sort of purpose. I don't know what that is, but I'm being driven towards it. It's not a good dream. It's a borderline nightmare. The empty void isn't the scary part, though. It's the feeling that I'm being watched by someone or something. It's the feeling that I have no say in where I'm going. No choice at all. I'm very curious about you. What? I'm limited in what I can ask, but I'll start with this. What is death to you? I forgot the choice here matters. Ooh. I don't think it mattered. But oblivion. I see. Watch me get wrong and I'm just gonna get the bad ending. Sometime just before I fully... Wait, maybe I should look it up. Wait. Because honestly, this game has like 3 endings, but the other 2 endings doesn't really matter. Let me just look it up real quick. Oh, whoops, I had... Whoopsies. It was infinity. Wait. Back. Okay. 3 ending. Oh, hey Thomas. Yeah, there's 3 endings. But I mean, I don't know if you want to count them as ending, but there's ending 1, ending 2, and then there's fate ending. But I think many people don't count one of the endings because there's not really like an ending. It's just like the game just ends. Okay, but I went back. It's fine. Teehee. Very interesting. Sometime just before I fully wake up, I hear something moving around behind me, followed by a mumbled voice, then a soft padding sound that fades out after a few moments. I wonder if one of my flatmates just arrived and looked into my room for some reason. As I shift around, I frown at how weirdly firm the bed I'm lying on is. My bed was softer than this when I got into it, and where are the sheets? I open my eyes and see a red velvety surface in front of me. Then I turn around and see an unfamiliar ceiling with a gold square pattern above me. Oh yeah. I looked over towards the bed where I expect to see Amicus, but it's empty. I stare again at the ceiling for a while, letting the sudden realization that I'm still here wash over me. I go over everything that happened yesterday, the last shred of hope that I've been dreaming fading from my mind. I look over Amicus' bed again, wondering if he's gone into the bathroom. I listen for a while, but I don't hear anything coming from the door across the bed. There's a muffled sound of what I assume are birds chirping coming from behind the curtain. Slowly, I slid off the sofa, feeling the cold marble against my bare feet as I do. I shiver and decide to bring the blanket with me, wrapping it around my shoulders. I shuffle around the sofa and move to the side of the large curtain to pull it back just slightly. Wow, so beautiful. The air that comes through it's fresh and immediate reminds me of camping by a lake during summer camp. That would make sense because ahead of me is what looks like a massive body of water that seems to come right up to the edge of the balcony. It's warm, but not nearly as humid as it was last night. Pink and orange light paints the cloud on the horizon, and for a moment I take in the sight. The hills and the mountains to either side of the lakes are covered in lush green trees. So is the little island a ways out to my left. In the distance, on the other side of the lake, is what looks like a city of some kind. It's hard to tell how big it is since it's good ways away, but from what I can tell, the buildings are massive and the smaller structure that tapers off the side seems to stretch far off behind them. Dim lights from windows glitters in the distance, and I wonder if that city is full of wolves like Amicus and Cassius. Despite my situation, I kinda want to go see it. As I watch, I see a small, dark oval shape descend down towards the city, blinking blue and red light. I have to smile and shake my head a little. I still want to go back to Earth, but this is undeniably amazing. I let the curtain slide shut finally and turn back to the room. So where did that big wolf go to? He could have at least told me before he ran off. Good morning, Kenny. I jump as the computer voice crackles overhead. I clutch my chest, breathing hard as the voice continues. Amicus has a message for you. There's a pause, then... Kenny, I'm going to my morning meditation. It's in the room just down the hall, and I'll be back in approximately an hour. Why don't you take the time to get familiar with the room? There's a pause, then... Are you still recording, Com? Yes, to end recording, say, end of message. Oh, see you soon, Kenny. End message. Is it still... To end recording, say, end of message. My God, end of message. I hear Amicus starting to curse again before the message cuts off. I look around the room a bit, noticing how little there is to get familiar with. I could look through the dresser, but I assume that's mostly filled with Amicus' things, and I doubt he wants me to get familiar with those. I move across the room towards the bathroom door, standing in front of it for a moment before studying the black panel in the middle of it. It's similar to what Amicus used to open the door in the hallway. I reach out and try to push it, and the moment my finger brushes against the surface, the door slides to the side, so fast I jump. The light inside comes on, slowly illuminating the interior. I poke my head inside, then quickly step in, imagining the sliding door suddenly closing and chopping my head off. It stays open until I'm halfway in the room, then it closes automatically. There's a large sink to my left, and an even larger mirror above it. In the corner, there's a marble-looking bench with a hole that I can only assume is a toilet. Finally, across from that is a large bath and what I imagine to be a shower. I actually need to pee, so I head over to the bench and do my business down the hole, hoping that it's not something like a laundry chute and I'm pissing on the servants below. As soon as I start, though, water begins to pour down the sides of the tube, leaving me pretty sure that it's indeed a toilet. I guess I should be more confident assuming things about this place. Everything's fairly similar to what I had on Earth. I walk over to the sink and push out the faucet, then I stick my hand under it and the water starts pouring out. I'm tempted to take a drink, but then I notice the water's bubbly and soapy looking. Having nothing left to do in the bathroom, I turn back to the door and find the black square again. I reach for it, and just like before, the door slides open. If he thinks he's going to get away with it. Cassius is facing away from me, his arms folded as his bushy white tail swishes from side to side. I freeze up, start staring at him wide-eyed. I have plenty of time to jump to the side, maybe hide in the shower area, but I just stand there like an idiot as the wolf turns around almost in slow motion. He freezes just like I did when he spots me standing in the doorway. It's the brat. We stare at each other for a very long moment. Then he screeches, making me jump back in shock. Oh God, Edipo, what is it? The wolf dodged back and forth, expecting me to try and run at him. Kato, help! Come, quick! Finally, Cassius' little dance of terror ends with him sprinting to my left and out of the room. I stand there for a moment listening to his scream fade down the echoing hallways while wondering if I should hide or something, maybe go back to the bathroom and try to lock it. Instead, I hear more thudding, someone running up the hallway at the other end. Then Amicus comes running into the room, sliding to a stop in the middle of it. He spins in a circle and spots me and runs up to me. What happened? Cassius came in and saw me. You let him see you? No, he just came in. Where were you? Meditating. I left a message. Where did he go? Cassius? He just ran off. Damn it. Amicus standing there, his tail thrashing back and forth. I glare at him. If you hadn't just left me here, this wouldn't have happened. Cassius shouldn't even have come in here. Amicus turns away and starts pacing back and forth. What are you doing? Shh, I'm thinking. I bristle a little at being shushed, but I stay quiet, watching the wolf stalk back and forth. Then you hear a voice again, Cassius along with another deeper voice. Amicus turns to me. Just be quiet for a moment as I try to explain things, understand? I glare at Amicus. Ooh, how am I going to Kato's voice? His ears flatten and his expression becomes a bit more desperate. Please. I still don't say anything, but give him a curt nod. Amicus reached out towards my shoulders and pauses and instead offers his paws to me. I take it. He gently pulls me from the bathroom to stand next to him in the middle of the room, facing the open doorway to the hall. Amicus fixes the confident smile on his face, though I can feel how tense he is next to me. From around the corner comes Cassius, but he's hiding behind someone else. Another wolf. They both stop in the doorway. The larger wolf takes in both Amicus and I. Amicus, what are you doing with it? Step away! Amicus gently places a paw around my shoulder, drawing me in against his bulk. Cassius' eyes widen at that, though the wolf next to him seems to have no reaction. Then again, that could be just because I can't see his eyes. What are you doing, Amicus? Amicus clears his throat. Cassius, Kato. He nods to each of them in turn. This is my pet, Kenny. Cassius' mouth falls open. The other wolf, Kato, seems to shift a bit at that. Silence dragged out. Then Kato shifts again. How do I do his voice? I didn't think about his voice. Is this where you were the past 2 days, Amicus? Amicus' arm tightens a bit around my shoulder, drawing me in closer. Yes. And that's where you took your father's ship? Hey, kitten. A slight pause. Yes. Cassius gasps. He can't do that. He glances at Kato. Can he? The bigger wolf is quiet, and even though I can't see his eyes, I get the feeling that he's watching me closely. Cassius turns his glare back on Amicus. Where did it come from? Amicus rubs my arm. He came from far away. Is this a furry game? This is a furry visual novel game, yes. Is he a child? Yes. What? He can't just take someone else's child, can he? Again, Cassius looks at Kato. It startled me. I'm sorry. And once again, Kato's quiet and he suddenly sighs. We will discuss this over breakfast, Amicus. Get dressed and bring the creature with you, as long as he's safe. Of course. Then we will continue the conversation there. With that, Kato turns on his heel and walks out of the room, leaving Cassius to look after him with a gaping mouth. He turns back on us, snarling. I don't know what you're planning with that thing, Amicus, but if I know you, it's going to be incredibly stupid. He takes another second to look at me with unmistakable disgust. You could have at least obtained one that isn't quite so ugly, you know. I'm not ugly. Leave, Cassius, and don't think about snooping around my room again, understood? Oh no, like, okay. Cassius doesn't respond and simply walks away, looking over his shoulder just before he leaves. And expect to receive punishment from Kato for stealing father's ship. Absolutely outrageous. He called you ugly. I watched Cassius' tail swish out of sight behind the doorway. Amicus lets out a... Hey, Shima. Amicus lets out a huge sigh and I feel his chest deflate against my shoulder. Damn it. I sigh as well. You really didn't think of all this through, did you? I slowly move out from under the wolf's heavy arm. Like I said, I made many mistakes. I'm just tired of lying now. You still told them I'm a child. Amicus brings a paw roughly to his mouth, touching the pads of his fingers to his lips. Hey, Odd. It might not be a shushing gesture that I'm familiar with, but I know that what it means. Amicus listens, his ears straight up and eyes looking up at the ceiling. Finally, he looks back at me, whispering, That is something I can never tell them the truth about, and it would be best if you never mention it again. Please. His sudden, serious demeanor cools my mood a little, so I just sigh again and sit on the edge of the bed. Amicus stands there awkwardly for a moment, and quickly moves over to the open door, placing a paw to the square to close it. He moves back over to me, his voice still lowered. Well, if we are going to pass you off as a pet, then I should probably get you familiar with your duties. My duties? I raise an eyebrow at Amicus. Amicus sighs. I understand your frustration, but we need to do this right if we want things to go as smoothly as possible. You don't have to do anything, but it will help you blend in better. I roll my eyes and lean back on my hands, looking up at Amicus. Alright, what do I do? Well, first of all, I take my shower and... You help me wash? Help you wash? Yes, you will soap my fur and such. We stare at each other for a moment. It's something that the others wouldn't see, so I suppose it's not necessary unless you want to? No. Well, alright then, never mind on that one. Amicus is clearly offended. Listen, I'm not gonna soap up your naked body. Yeah, you made that clear. Anyways, I honestly rather skip the shower today, but spending all of that time in the spaceship has left me rather unkempt. Amicus turns to the bathroom and opens the door. You should at least come into the bathroom while I shower in case Cassius decides to barge in again. You can stare at the wall or something. Did they show... No, they didn't show anything here. Amicus stalks in the... Wait. I don't think they showed anything here. Amicus stalks in the bathroom and I have to smile as I follow him in the door, closing quietly behind me. Amicus noticed me smirking. What? I shrug. Nothing, just kind of funny that you got so huffy. I don't know what that means. Amicus is adjusting his underwear, then suddenly drops and I quickly look away. Yeah, it should be fine, it should be fine. I suppose your people prefer modesty. Out of the corner of my eyes, I can tell that Amicus has a smirk of its own. Around others at least, and you guys don't just walk around naked, so don't you prefer modesty too? It all depends on the time and place. Amicus moves into the shower, and for the next 10 or so minutes, I sit on the counter while the room fills with steam. Once the water shuts off, a loud fan starts up, and I glance over to see Amicus with his arms out, his fur blowing back and forth. He notices me looking over, then looks away again. You know, he has an almost shadow over the fan. You could have cleaned up too if you showered with me, but you won't have time with breakfast coming up. You'll have to do it after. I shrug and wait as Amicus steps out and grabs clean undergarments hanging from a hook, which he spends the next minute tying on. Alright, balls are gone. You can look now. Actually, do you even have those? I don't want to assume. I open the door and head back out. Guess you'll never know. Heh. Amicus spends another minute in the bathroom opening a door under the sink and rifling around in it. The next thing you're supposed to do is get the brush and oil from here. He lifts up a brush and a few glass bottles with the colorful liquid inside before coming over to stand in front of me. He sighs. I know you don't want to, and I realize now that I'm repulsive to you, but I can't really reach every part of my coat, and it would be strange if I call for a drone when I have a pet. I think about making another moody remark, but the expression on his face makes me pause. I suppose I am being a little bratty right now. Besides, what else am I going to do while I'm here? Sit on the sofa all day? I get up and take the brush from Amicus and I see a surprised smile on his face. Thank you, Kenny. He shows me how to apply one of the liquids, a honey-colored one, to the brush. It's a treatment for my fur. It keeps it soft and voluminous looking. Here, you can just take the brush and run it with the lay of my fur. He hands the brush to me and then stands facing away. I start slowly to run the brush through the fur between his ears and down his broad back, watching as the slightly disheveled hair lines up and lays down smoothly. It accentuates his shoulder blades and the thick and smooth muscles in his back. I'm hesitant at first, but I become more confident with each stroke. Actually, it's kind of relaxing. That is until I brush down the left side of his neck, which makes him gasp. I pull back quickly. Sorry, did I brush too hard? Amicus chuckles. No, that's just where you hit me earlier. Oh. I look closer and see that there's where it looks like a lump under the fur. I carefully brush around it and move to Amicus's front. Amicus meanwhile has his eyes closed with a smile on his face, clearly enjoying himself. I am sorry about that, by the way. I was really scared when I did it. Don't worry about it. I deserved it for tying you up so poorly. Amicus gives me a wink. I feel my face grows a little hot as I focus on getting the fur to lay just right on his biceps. And you know, you're not repulsive to me at all. I was just being a dick earlier. You look good. Well, I suppose I was too. I shouldn't have made fun of your sensibilities. All aliens have their own cultures which are different, but that doesn't mean less viable. Amos's tone sounds weirdly rehearsed, like he's quoting something. And also, thank you, Kenny. I think you look good too. He might just be returning the compliment, but it's nice to hear after what Cassius said. He did call me ugly. But I definitely wasn't lying, and now that I'm close to him, I have to admit that he's a little handsome. His face is expressive and kind of charming, and there's just a genuinely friendly air about him. And well, there's his body yaddy yaddy yaddy. It's thick and masculine, just like a burly human, and I really can't deny that it's kind of appealing, kind of. I start to brush down the wolf's front, feeling his chest and stomach rise against the brush with his breathing. I sculpt the lighter fur around his pec to accentuate them better, since it seems that's how he was keeping it earlier. I can't blame him. Then I move to his belly, moving the brush over his thick and slightly rounded form. The muscles are less defined here, but I can still sense the strength underneath it all. As I brush the lower parts of his midsection, I notice the crotch of his loincloth bulging out rather far. Alright, thank you, Kenny. That should be good. He takes the brush away from my hands and turns away, leaving me the strong suspicion that he's adjusting himself, though he covers it up by pretending to mess with the other bottle. Finally, he turns around looking flushed. Hold out your paws, please. I stick out my hand and he tips the bottle over the liquid in this one having a purplish tint to it. Several drops fall into my hand. Immediately my nose is filled with what lavender scent I have been smelling off of Amicus since I first met him. Rub them together, then just sort of pat up on my body and underarms along my neck as well. I can tell Amicus is still flustered, so I do it quickly, not wanting to linger and cause the wolf any other problems. Maybe it just feels good to be brushed like that? Is this like perfume? Yes, it keeps the muskier scent hidden from the most parts. I see. Do you use perfume? Well, I guess I do wear something like that on my underarm. Feel free to use it then. I decide not to tell him that lavender scents are mostly for women on Earth. Besides, it does smell nice. Once the perfume is done, Amicus moves on to getting dressed, showing me how to drape his cape over his shoulder. Alright, so now you only have the pair of clothes you came with, so I'll have a tailor drone come up later today to see if we can make you more pairs of what you have. Oh, okay. Now, let's head to the dining room before we are late. Amicus pauses, frowning. Now, I know you won't like it, but you're going to have to feed some ignorance in front of the others. I raise an eyebrow. How so? Well, you're going to need to act a bit dumb. The antagonistic feeling that had been fading over the past few minutes starts to rise up again. And how do I do that? Amicus shrugs. I don't know, give them vacant stares, incoherent mumbles, act like you can't grasp more complex matters. The whole point is to make it seem like you're a typical child. I don't like it, but I don't want to have anything to do with those aliens, so if it'll make them leave me alone. Alright. Amicus lets out a breath, clearly relieved. Thank you, Kenny. This may not always have to be the case, but for now, we need to play on the safe side of things. Just let me do all the talking. You got it. Great. Now let's hurry to the dining room. I don't want to make Kato more angry than he already is. And with that, I followed Amicus out in the hallway. So who's Kato? The wolf you saw with my brother. He was my father's advisor and currently the acting emperor. I mentioned earlier that he'll be choosing between me and my brother. That's why I'm doing my best to keep him in a good mood. Or at least not a bad mood. I don't think he has a good one. I keep in mind to stay on Kato's good side as well. Meanwhile, sunlight pours in through the open windows and I can hear birds calling from outside again. Birds. What was that? I can hear birds. I'm just surprised they sound the same as they do on Earth. Ah, yes. You wouldn't know this. All life has the same origin and develops in a roughly similar way. It's only natural that life here is similar to your moon, planet I mean. Oh. Well, all life on this side of the universe at least. There may be another, but we'll have to leave that conversation for later. For now. I follow Amicus around the corner and find myself standing in a large spacious room. The first thing I notice are large screens on each wall of the room, displaying colorful images of stars, galaxies, and the spaceships. In the middle of the room are what looks like beds surrounding a table. In those beds are the two wolves I saw earlier. Kato is sitting and leaning over towards Cassius, who is draped luxuriously over one of the beds. Kato is talking to Cassius while the other wolf has on his typical sour expression. Sitting on the floor in front of Cassius' bed is a creature that I've never seen before. It's definitely not a wolf, more feline-like. Cassius has his paws on his head, idly scratching it while he listens to whatever Katos is saying. He sees us and abruptly stops and is sitting up. Kato stops talking and looks over at us. You're late! And good morning to you, Cass, and you, Kato, Alexios. Amicus turns to Kato and the small cat creature, bowing to both of them. Good morning. Morning, Amicus. The cat, Alexios, nods at Amicus with a smile. At the same time, I see Cassius tug on the gold collar around his neck. It isn't very much, but Alexios immediately drops a smile from his face, looking down. How many times do I have to tell you not to acknowledge him, Amicus? Amicus seems to ignore Cassius, walking into the empty bed while pulling me along with him. He whispers in my ear. Sit in front, like Alex is doing. I look over at the cat and see his ears perks up in our direction, though he continues to avoid looking at us. He's in a kneeling position, so I do the same, starting to feel a little uneasy about this whole setup. Amicus, meanwhile, stretches out across the bed, an elbow in the cushion as he props himself up. Come, send in breakfast. Yes, Kato. A few seconds later, literal flying saucer levitates into the room from beyond another archway. I get a moment to see some of the black devices on the underside of the plates before they gently come to rest on the table. I blink but don't say anything, deciding to just take everything in without question. I decide instead to focus on the food. I can at least identify a few of the portions, one of them being what looks like bread. Then there's a plate of odd white, crumbly substance next to that is a bowl of what I'm pretty sure are olives. There's a glass bottle filled with some type of red liquid, probably wine. Finally, in the middle, next to some towel-like napkin, is roasted poultry, golden colored and steaming. It actually smells really, really good, and consider that I haven't eaten any real food in over a day, I feel my mouth water. Still, I have enough common sense to know that I probably can't just dig in, so I keep an eye on the cat, waiting to see what he does next. He grabs 4 small plates from the tall stacks and sets them down in front of himself. Then he starts grabbing some slice of bread, which he sets down on one of the plates. I look back at Amicus and he nods, so I do the same, grabbing 4 plates and setting them in front of myself on the table, starting to grab the separate portion of food to set them on their own plates. Meanwhile, Kato just leans over to grab his own while Cassius clears his throat. So Amicus, what is this? I look up and immediately find Cassius' eyes boring into mine. I quickly look back and grab up the wood-handled knife that Alexios just set down, using it to spread the white stuff on the slices of bread. I wrinkle my nose at how stinky it is, and I realize it's probably some type of cheese. Oh, thanks for the hydrate, Shadow. Oh no, I forgot to put on my redeem stuff. But thank you for the hydrate. Actually, I want to go to the bathroom, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Nice pee, nice pee. Make myself comfortable. Okay. I wrinkled my nose and how stinky it is, and I realized it's probably some type of cheese. What? Sorry, I guess I didn't unmute. I literally thought I unmuted, but I guess I didn't. Sorry, I'm back. Thank you. I literally pressed unmute too. It's okay. I hesitate, kind of wishing I had a chance to wash my hands, but I do it anyways, wincing at how hot it is. Kenny, are you speaking? Wait, you don't hear anything? Hello? Hello? Okay. I muted my mic because I went to the bathroom. And I kind of forgot to unmute it, I guess. Even though I could have swore I pressed unmute, but... just me being me, I guess. Sorry, it's okay. Thank you. The temptation is strong just to stuff it in my mouth, but I managed to set it down on the plate. Finally, I grab up a bunch of olives and put them on their own plate. At this point, I can see that Alexis is lining his plates up in front of Cassius on the bed. Carefully, I do the same for Amicus, though I lose an olive in the process. I watch it roll across the ground, but decide to ignore it, and Amicus just pats my head with a muttered, "Thank you." No, he's from a failed uplift. I watch as Alexis starts filling a goblet with the red liquid, but look up when I realize there's a complete silence. Cassius and Cato are both staring at Amicus. I look back at him and see that he looks pretty calm, though I can see him picking at his claws. Are you serious? Yes. Why? He's a barbarian. Because I've decided that the abandoned children deserve to re-establish regular contact. If we are to unite with the Kimmians, then we also need to unite ourselves. I start filling Amicus' goblet as I feel his eyes on me. Child or not, having a pet like this will show the Kimmians my intentions. Cassius scoffs loudly, popping an olive into his mouth and chewing it vigorously. Masterful stunt, Amicus, but you still stole Father's ship to get there, using stretch tech without authorization from the Emperor's violation of the law, is it not, Cato? I hand the goblet to Amicus, silently wondering if the wolf is going to be thrown in jail my first day here. What would happen to me then? Still, Amicus looks calm, and when he sees my eyes are wide eyes, he just winks. It could be, but there's no Emperor, is there, Cassius? Cato finally lays back, his small plate heaped high with food. He turns his head back to Amicus. Are you saying you pilot the ship to the outer reaches of our empire? Voice commands only works for the Emperor, if I'm not mistaken. That is correct. I learned to navigate the ship on my own. I was also able to communicate with their people, negotiate, and sign a contract with them. This is where I start to hear Amicus' voice falter. I actually do believe now that he doesn't lie often, because it's clear that he's so bad at it. I copied Alexis and returned to my kneeling position next to the bed, then switched to a cross-legged one when my knees get too sore. Cato watches from his bed silently and again feel unnerved at the feeling that he might be looking at me. Fascinating. Cassius curls his lips back. Fascinating? He used a stretch dive. He's going to get away with it because Father is dead? What does that make of all the other laws? Can a beggar not steal from a market because he's not authorized? There is no authority to tell him not to? Can a child rebel from the Empire because there is no Emperor to tell them? Quiet, Cassius. You know the circumstances as well as I do. Cassius snaps his mouth shut with a huff, turning his attention back to his food while he starts to pick at. The conversation seems to stop there, and I wonder if Amicus is in the clear. While Cassius sure seems indignant, I get the feeling that Amicus wasn't in any danger in the first place. I guess being the Emperor's son has its perks. Could you get me more of the Zur, Kenny? I look over to the table for a moment in confusion. What's that? I try to keep my voice that low, but that's when Cassius suddenly yells, clapping a paw to his head. Oh gods, it doesn't speak the language! I look between Cassius and Amicus in confusion. Well, of course not, they were abandoned. Most of the abandoned still speaks the language. How far is his home star? Roughly 50,000 light years. I don't care. Don't have it speak again. The last I need is a headache from the lingua manually translating everything he says. It's barbaric. I don't know if he's calling the headache barbaric or me. Probably me. Upload this language to the Nexus before you let it out in public again, Amicus. I decide I really don't like Cassius. He's talking about me like I'm just a piece of property. Then I feel Amicus paw my shoulder for a moment, giving a soft squeeze before pulling back again. The conversation topic then shifts to stuff I don't really understand, mostly politics and the Kimians, whatever that is. Despite their fight earlier, Amicus and Cassius are pretty animated in their conversation. Amicus keeps sticking empty plates in my face, indicating that I should refill them. It's clear that I'm not going to be eating while the wolves are, and I feel my irritation grow. I'm not a servant. I didn't agree to this, and even if this is supposed to help me blend in, I can't help but feel Amicus could have put me in a better position than this. Virginia sent me a letter last night saying that she'd be bringing back a Kimian tomorrow. He got trapped here after the stress drive depletion. Oh, he wasn't able to return on the retrieval ship. He was on the Amicus at the time, so it took him several months to get back to Adastra. He's going to be our guest until the next ship arrives. I think it'll be quite interesting to see one in person who can say that they've met two siblings. Cassius reaches down and starts looking at Alexos' head fur. The green and gray cat closes his eyes, smiling and purring. I watch this for a moment and freeze up as Amicus paws on my head. He starts to gently scratch his blunt claws into my scalp, ruffling my hair around. It actually feels really good, but knowing what he's doing gets me pissed off all over again. He already knows I don't want to be doing this, that he brought me here against my own will. Now he's stroking me in public like I'm actually his pet? Well, I guess that makes sense. I guess he's doing this part to help me blend in just like I'm doing mine. But that doesn't mean I don't hate it, and this other paw sticks his empty goblet down under my nose. More wine, please. I let the goblet hang in the air for a moment, then take it and reach out robotically for the heavy wine bottle, getting up on my knees to better pour it into the empty goblet. I fill up as much up as Amicus continues to stroke me. I'll bet even fewer can say they made an abandoned species, wouldn't you think? Cassius glares at Amicus and I glare at the wine. I try to remind myself that this is just to help me get home. Or maybe he's actually just showing me off because he likes how he's getting under Cassius's fur. I turn on my knee to face the wolf and hand his back to his goblet, noticing how full it is, the wine almost sloshing over the rim. Amicus reaches out for the goblet. My fingers twitch and then I feel the goblet slip out of my hand, watching as it seems to fall into slow motion onto the side of the bed. The wine shoots out in a red gush, splashing across Amicus's lighter furred front. The wolf gasps, sitting up suddenly as the wine pours down his chest and stomach onto his pants. Damn. Meanwhile, Cassius bursts out laughing behind me, snorting obnoxiously. Maybe there's a reason so few have ventured out to meet them, Amicus. I see Alex staring at me, but when I meet eyes with him, he looks down. Amicus reaches over me for one of the towels, glancing down at me as he does. I try to keep myself from smirking, but I think I fail. He pauses, staring at me in astonishment, as I guess he realized I did it on purpose. I'm such a bitch. He doesn't look angry though, and instead grabs up the towel and starts patting down his front, and the fur still stained a dark maroon color. What are you doing, Amicus? Cassius has finished his laughing, and I look over to see him staring at us. What do you mean? What am I doing? I'm cleaning up the mess. Amicus growls at Cassius, continuing to pat himself down. Dear gods, you really don't know how to do this. Punish it! Cassius lazily flops his paws in the air in a slapping motion. I snap my gaze to Amicus, glaring again. Well, no, I can't do that. Why not? It's in the contract, no physical punishment, just like Alexios. What? You heard me. Alexios is a sibling, it's barely even a child. He is mine and none of your business. Punishment is the only way to teach the lesser species, Amicus. He looks at me. You, creature, up! I'll hit you instead. Cassius! I jump, so does Cassius, ears ringing as Amicus' deep voice bellows over me. Meanwhile, Kato just lounges on his bed, listening, or maybe not. I'll make this very clear right now. You are never to lay a paw on him or give him orders of any kind. Cassius recovered, raises his eyebrow at Amicus. And if I do, brother? Amicus first starts to lay flat on his shoulder again as he shrugs. I'll punch you. What? Why, you can't do that. We're not pups anymore. And if you call him it again, I'll do the same. Cassius seems to choke for a moment. What in the world has gotten into you, Amicus? He looks at the older wolf. Kato! Yes, Cassius? Well, do something. You can't threaten me like that. Amicus, be nice to your brother. Cassius' ears turn bright red and he slumps on the bed, glaring at his remaining food. Anyways, if you two are finished, then be off to your studies. Don't be late this time, Amicus. Your tutor complained again last week. That's today. You know, you should take care to start paying more attention. After seeing what you accomplished, I'm starting to lean towards trials and making my decision. The room suddenly goes very quiet. And Cassius, I need to speak with you for a moment before you leave. Amicus gets to his feet and I do the same. The wolf glances at Cassius and Kato, but they're deep in conversation. He turns back to me. I forgot that it's my study day, so I'll be gone for a while. I'm going to ask Alexios to show you around and give you something to do while I'm away. I feel myself grow tense at the idea of being without the only person I know around here. Seriously? Listen, you don't have to do anything. I'll make that clear to everyone, but I feel you might rather have something to do rather than sit in my room all day. He seems to think it's chores that I'm upset about rather than him leaving me alone. Alright. Amicus frowns at me and I can't help but feel a little bad. He does seem to be trying to make things easy as possible for me. And sorry. I gesture at his still stained front. Don't worry, yes, wine is easy to get out of my fur, but I know why you did it and I deserved it. He's speaking it's his language again? Shut up, Cassius. What? Alexios. Amicus gesture at the small cat who is currently stacking the dirty dishes on top of each other. Could you please show Kenny around the palace along with the tasks and activities you do? He's unfamiliar with nearly everything. I'll be happy to, Amicus. So you can order my pet around? Kato, standing over by the doorway and clearly eager to leave, sighs. Enough. Try to be reasonable, Cassius. Now both of you be off to your studies. And a quick shower for you, Amicus. Amicus grumbles and starts to turn away, then turns back to me, resting a paw on my shoulder. I'll be back towards the evening. The big wolf pauses as if he's wanting to say more, but leaves me with the simple, I'll see you then. And with that, he gives me a little wave and another wink before following Cassius and Kato through the archway. Just as Amicus leaves, Cassius pauses to give me a sour look. Then again, most of his expressions are pretty sour, but it still makes me uncomfortable. Then I'm left alone with the cat. I feel an odd sense of loneliness at seeing Amicus just leave like that. It's like my mother just dropped me off as preschool or something. He's the only one that's been treating me like an actual person. Mostly, at least. I hear the small sound of someone clearing their throat behind me. Hello? The small cat smiles at me pleasantly, his paws clasped neatly in front of himself. I say he's small, but he's really about the same height as me. It's just odd seeing another alien that's my size when I always have to look up at the wolves. Hi. I see Alexa's left eye twitch and he raises a paw to his head. Oh dear, this is going to be an interesting day. Is something wrong? More twitching. Just my lingua. It'll take a while to learn your language, but it gets better the more you speak, so if you don't mind, I'd like to know more about you. I'm very curious. Amicus told me to act dumb, so I tried to figure out how I might do that. I fixed a distant look on my face. Far away. Alexis blinks and giggles. Oh. We both stand there awkwardly for a moment before he gestures at the table. Well, why don't we have a seat? We eat their leftovers when they're finished. The cat moves over to sit on Kato's bed, reaching out for his own small plate. It reminded me of how hungry I am, so I quickly do the same, choosing to sit on Cassius's bed since Amicus is covered in wine. Will this food agree with your stomach? I think so. It actually looks like some of the stuff I eat back home. I mean, it's basically olives, bread, and meat. I point to each of the dishes. Alexis puts his paws back to his head. Oh my, so many words, and in full sentences too. I freeze. I mean, I don't really know what this food is. I'm just guessing. No, I mean, it's your words. So many of them in complete complex sentences. Fuck, I'm bad at this. I guess the world's uplifted intelligence a lot more back then. Oh, maybe. I wonder if I ruined our plans already, but Alexis doesn't seem alarmed, just curious, so I turn my attention back to the food. There isn't much left on the table. The meat was mostly cleaned off by the bones by Kato. Next to it are 4 slices of bread and a bowl of olives. Alexis starts on the poultry, working at it with his claws until it comes apart in 2 pieces with a loud tearing sound. He hands me 1/2. You should be able to find a little meat on there. I take it from him, trying not to show my disappointment. Then he puts 2 slices of bread on the plate and slides it towards me before taking the remaining 2. Make sure to use the cheese. The bread is a bit bland without it. I pull a few thin strips of meat off the bone and taste it. It's good. Really, really good, and I quickly search the bone for more, but there isn't much at all. Hungry? I look up and see Alexios delicately picking at his own half of the bird. Yeah, I haven't eaten in a few days. Oh, really? Why not? The trip here was a bit rough. I guess I did eat on the ship, but it wasn't very filling. Oh, like the protein sludge they have. Yeah, that stuff is quite terrible. I can understand why you're hungry. Well, you won't have to worry. Why not? We eat dinner with our masters in their room. Amicus always serves himself a very large portion and also sneaks me on my own food since Cassius doesn't take much himself. Alexios slowly spreads cheese on his bread. He will take good care of you in that respect. With the mention of Amicus, I start to feel a bit lonely again. Actually, something I've noticed that this whole palace seems to be lonely. So, where is everyone? Alexios chews thoughtfully on his bread. I try to think of a way to phrase things stupidly, then give up as I decide he already knows I'm able to form complex sentences. This palace doesn't seem to have very many people around. Oh, well, do you expect others to be here? Well, I guess like servants or guards or some other officials. Most needs in the palace are covered by the artificial intelligence and drones. Same goes for the palace defense. I suppose it may be different from where you're from, but the siblings learned long ago that the fewer sapiens you have in the location that needs to be secure, the better. You and I are an exception. The bread tastes like literal chalk, so I decided to spread a little bit of cheese on it despite the spell. To my surprise, it's salty and creamy and not bad at all. The smell is hard to ignore though. So, what is the point of having a pet then? Amicus didn't tell you? Well, he did. He just mentioned status and stuff. Is there any other reason? Why do we have to go do stuff for them if they have robots that can do it instead? Status is the main reason, yes. Our duty is to be by their side during the public appearances or in official meetings. Obviously, having an artificial sapien doing the same isn't impressive at all. We don't really have to do anything manual in the palace, but Cassius liked the idea of sapiens being his servants. He says it reminds him of the old days. I see. Amicus told me that I don't really have to do anything for him except brush his fur. Ah, yes. Amicus is very meticulous about that. Do you know him well? Fairly well. I've been here for a few months now, so I have my fair shares of interaction with him, even though Cassius doesn't seem to like it. I see. What do you think of him? I think that you're very lucky to have a master like Amicus. Why is that? Well, Amicus is very kind. Sometimes he tries to be all official and assertive, and he likes to tease me, but he comes off as more open, whether he intends to or not. This is all compared to Cassius, of course. I think for a moment. Do you not like being Cassius's pet? There's a pause, though Alexios continues to smile. Cassius is very specific about how he wants to be talked to and such. But this is a great quality for a prospective emperor to have, for sure. But in casual conversation, it's much easier to talk to someone like Amicus. I take a sip of wine, and as far as I can tell, it's similar to the few times I've had it on Earth. He has been really nice to me. At least after the whole kidnapping thing. Ooh. He's a very nice person. He just tends to not think everything through. Alexios' eyes flicks to look behind me before he focuses back on my face. Understand that normally we shouldn't speak so candidly about our masters. This is just a conversation between pets. Oh, yeah, I understand. There's a moment of silence that goes on, just long enough to become uncomfortable. Yes, I thought you would. I have to say that you're extremely perspective, almost on the same level as a sibling. I wince internally as Alexios points out my intelligence again. Only took me 10 minutes to fail my one and only job. Alexios smiles at me again. Ah, was I not supposed to know that? Apparently it's perspectives as well. Don't worry, like I said, this is between pets. Alexios leans in conspiratorially. I don't just blabber everything I know to my masters. I'm simply a servant, not spy. He leans back again. Though he might wish I was, but honestly, it's really nice to be able to talk to someone other than my superiors. Amicus was the only one to treat me like as an equal, but Cassius usually keeps our contact minimal. I put the last bit of bread into my mouth, and as soon as I do, Alexios sits up. Come, we're finished. Yes, Alexios. I watch with fascination as the dishes levitate off the table and float away to the archway they originally came from. Do you want to go outside? Like I said, there's not much to do, but the gardens, they require more sapient touch to keep them presentable. Yeah, sure. I brush crumbs off my jeans and stand up. I'm still hungry, but the amount I've eaten has taken the edge off of it, at least. I follow Alexios quietly through the halls, really enjoying the architecture of the palace for the first time. We enter the main hall and Alexios stands in the sunlight pouring in through this archway. Ah, aren't the morning beautiful here? This is the best time to do work in the gardens. I say we have a good 3 hours before it gets too hot. We start walking onto the garden when I'm suddenly struck by something odd. So, you just said we have 3 hours? Yes. Well, how long is an hour here? The same. Oh, we use the same minutes and hours and stuff? That didn't seem possible. Alexios thinks, rubbing the spot above his left eyebrow. Ah, well, the lingua is a complicated device. It's a parental text, so it's something that we don't really understand at all, but what we do know is that it translates language in a way that offers the best understanding possible for the host. Alexios crouches by a pillar, examining the ivy growing around the surface. I use the measurement of time specific to the wolves in their language, and the lingua is simply translated to a measurement that you better understand. The small cat chuckles. It's something I've given up on understanding myself. It's not perfect and creates really confusing situations, especially when it comes to certain words and numbers. Oh. I see Alexios single out a small white flower growing out the base of the pillar before he plucks it out and sets it to the side. I start to wonder if I should maybe learn the language. The lingua is impressive and all, but it doesn't seem like it's very specific. Alexios grins. Don't think too much about it. Just try to remember that doesn't mean everything's actually is the same. There are 19 hours in the day on Adastra, which I imagine is at least somewhat different compared to your own planet. Anyways, I'm not What I am doing right now is pulling up some weeds. The drones do a good job watering and pest control, but they often miss smaller weeds like these. I crouch at the pillar next to the Lexus, searching through the ivy for the weeds to pull at the base. So there are 19 hours in a day here. Yes. It's a bit shorter than back home. Oh, I get that. There are 30 hours in a day where I'm from. You get used to it after a few weeks though. I prefer it actually. I turn my attention back to the pillar and suddenly find myself staring right at the strange crab-like thing sticking into the stone. At first I wonder if it's a carving of some kind since it's so big. But as I look closer, it moves and I realize that it's a massive living spider. I feel like him and the gremlin would get along nicely. They're both deceive you from the start and are manipulative. What gremlin? Oh my god! What is it? A spider thing. Shoot. Oh, senpai? Yeah, both cats. I'm standing a good 10 feet away from the pillar now, but I can still see the massive spider, its thick legs fanned out to the width of a clock. Ew. I shiver. Ugh. Oh, I see. I stare at him. How is that funny? I'm sorry, they are very startling when you first encounter them. Alexis walks up to the spider and starts making shooing motions at it. Even from here I can see his black beady eyes. It doesn't move at all, choosing to sit motionlessly on this pillar. And the answers are... Ooh. Arachnids. I think that means spider, right? Wait, arachnids. Wait. Something like that. And insects are disturbingly large compared to the ones on my home moon. I look around, suddenly feeling like I'm in danger, imagining giant wasps descending from the skies. This is Australia, no! Alexio starts to look more frustrated as the spider refuses to be intimidated by his limp-wristed swipes. Nothing in the garden is dangerous though, and they are needed to balance the ecosystem. This creature's venom is far too mild to cause much more than an itchy bump if it bites at all. Alexios gives another weak swipe at the spider and it takes the opportunity to pull up his arms so fast that it becomes a blur before stopping on his face. For a moment we both stand there in shock as it clings to him like a face hugger. Then, oh, by Gallons, get it off! He dances around in place for a moment as I simply watch in fascinated horror. Finally he shakes his head hard and the spider runs down his front to scuttle across the ground into some bushes. Alexios heaves for a breath for a moment, trembling. Despite myself, I have to laugh in amazement at what I just saw. Why are you laughing? Sorry, it was just so surprising and you were so sure of yourself until... I chuckled again. Well, it surprised me. He shivers, rubbing his shoulders. But at least if I recall, Alexios gets some punishment. Just... No spoilers. There's honestly nothing to be afraid of when it comes to those, but it was right on me and the way they move. He shudders again. And you just stood there and watched. I mean, what could I have done? If that had happened to me, I would just have jumped in the pool. I've already played this, Thomas, but doesn't mean the people who are watching has played it, right? So let's try to avoid spoilers. Thank you. Alexio sighs and I see his fur starts to flatten down again. Then he also chuckles. Well, I was about to. Anyways, let's get back to work. If you see another spider, just work around it. For the next hour, we move from pillar to pillar, cleaning up the unwanted weeds. I'm way more vigilant now, checking every pillar for spiders before we start. Luckily, we don't come across any more. After a while, we finally sit on a bench under some trees and Calm floats out a few platters of tiny pastries that reminds me of quiche. Ooh, I can go for some quiche. Those are followed by glasses of cold, green, vegetable-tasting drinks. It's delicious. So, can I ask where you're from? Very far away, even further than your home. What brought you here? How did you know that? What brought you here? The cat sighs and pauses with the pastry halfway to his mouth. It's a bit complicated, but I was here as a sort of ambassador. I arrived just as the stretch drive depletion occurred. What was that? Alexa shrugs. Well, for whatever reason, the Romanists stopped supplying the wolves with stretch drive power when the Emperor died. They're starbound right now, so they can't shuttle me back to my planet. The situation between the wolves and their parents is worrying, and we don't know how long the wolves will be without the stretch, so my people sent their own ship to retrieve everyone on Adastra, but I, missed it. Missed it? Alexa's frown, looking embarrassed again. Well, I slept in and missed the departure. Wow, really? I mean, it happens to the best of us, no? I guess. Why did they wait for you? That kind of messed up that they just left. When using stretch tag, time is important. Everything runs on a specific schedule, so if you miss it, you miss it. And they're certainly not going to send another one out for one person. Wow, didn't you have an alarm clock or someone to wake you? Trust me, it was a series of many unfortunate events that led to that happening. The main one being that even though I woke up with enough time to reach the starport, I got lost in Adastra City's terrible public transportation system. I was running from platform to platform, wolves all around me trying to touch me because they'd never seen a cat before. And I could barely read the signs because, well, for my species, water comes from the eyes when we're stressed, so... Water comes from the eyes when we're stressed. Me too, bitch. Oh, you were crying. You know what that is? Yeah, my species does it too. He looked away and I could see the insides of his ears turn red. Ah, I didn't know that. It shares traits among us and the wolves. But I don't know many other that do it, aside from the KimmyKins. Anyways, I eventually decided to use my situation to continue my work and build a relationship with the Imperial family, so I became Cassius's pet. Alexia's situation doesn't sound all that different from mine, even though the reasons for us getting here were very different. When does the next ship come? Alexia shrugs. Years, at least one a decade, but sometimes more. I'm hoping within the next few years, though. I'm sorry to hear that. It's not the worst life, and the world treats me well enough. We do have a special relationship. With Cassius? Between us and the wolves, unlike the other siblings, our parents originated in the same galaxy. Though our views are very different, there's bounds there. Alexios brushes his paws together. Are you done? Yeah. Come, we're finished. And with that, the platter and glasses floats away. I'm starting to get used to all this. But, Kenny, was it? Yeah. I'm sorry. I guess we skipped introductions. You already know me as Alexios, but you can call me Alex. Hello, Alex. Hello, Kenny. So now that we're no longer pretending that you're not so sapient anymore, where are you from? Tell me about yourself. That gives me some pause. While he's been really nice to me so far, I know I can't just reveal everything to Alex, so I settled on being vague like he was. Well, I am from far away, but less far away than you. I'm a primate. I see. Are you important among your people? No, I'm just a student. Oh, do you know why Amicus chose you then? I think he chose me at random. I just happened to be where the uplift occurred. I guess I kind of know why he chose me, but I feel like that's because of, like, you know, plot. Or, you know, someone moving in the shadows, but I kind of do wonder why Amicus chose this MC. I don't think he really talks about it, as far as I remember. Alexios blinks then laughs. That's just like Amicus. Yeah, it is actually. But I guess it makes sense to choose a commoner if he wants to unite the abandoned children again. Oh yeah? It should have been me, not him. Were you at Rome? Maybe you weren't at Rome, you know? I decided that shifting the conversation away from me is a good tactic for now. Yeah, did he explain that to you? Maybe a little. He didn't tell me all that much. Don't take it personally. Amicus doesn't often think ahead. Right now, the wolves are in a bit of a strange situation. Again, this is between you and me, but they've fallen behind the other siblings in terms of spread and resources. I've never ever left the UK, sadly. But you have easier access to Rome than me. The main reason being that they don't uplift. Oh, the main reason being that they don't uplift their children to similar intelligence level as themselves. Intelligence levels? I thought they just spread their culture. Alex frowns at me. You don't know. I guess you were abandoned, but you should know that your intelligence, every child's intelligence was uplifted by a sibling. Oh, no. I guess we lost that bit of information. Well, that's not the end of their problem. These children are indentured servants in a way. In exchange for having their intelligence mostly uplifted, they have to serve the Empire until the debt is repaid. That doesn't sound good. Oh, and how long has that been going on? Well, let's just say that the first successfully uplifted wolf children haven't quite finished repaying their debt. That sounds like slavery. Alex glances at me. It does, doesn't it? That's confusing to me. But if they have all these robots and stuff, why do they need sapiens to be their slaves? Advanced artificial sapiens are gifted by the parents. We can't build them. We're a bit spoiled here in the palace, but outside not so much. And even then, artificial sapiens isn't perfect and likely never will be. Actual thinking machines don't exist. This is why uplifting children to be the same intelligence level as a sibling is important. Good ideas can come from anywhere. I guess your people don't do what the wolves do. No, we uplift our children as much as we can. This practice is isolated to the wolves. They're seen by the other sibling as harsh on their own children and the right of the sapien in general. I see. I'm starting to see the wolves and even Amicus in a whole new light. As if reading my mind, Alex goes on. But things are changing. Amicus choosing you as his pet shows that he sees you as a close and equal. But then there's Cassius. Alex's tail switches around on the bench between us. He rather things stay the same or even regress. That's why he's made a strong challenge against Amicus. There are many wolves who are unsure of the changes Amicus suggests, and the proposed alliance between the wolves and the Kemians is only adding to it. Kemians. They're another sibling species, the most powerful in the galaxies in fact, but that worries a lot of people here. There hasn't been a war between siblings in over 100 years, but the last one was between the Kemians and the wolves. You can imagine what sort of problem that might create, so Cassius, one of the wolves, to stay independent and in complete control of their children is rather popular. You might wonder why I'm telling you this, but I want you to understand that the empire that you're in, it'll make it easier to navigate. I was in fact wondering why he's telling me all this. Does he have some other motives that he's not telling me? I look over at him. Do you want Cassius to become emperor? I like that we can discuss a lot of things, and being a sibling allows me to be more freedom than most, but that's one thing that I should probably keep silent on. That only confuses me more, but it doesn't sound like he's on Cassius' side. Maybe Amicus and I could find an ally in him? Well, I think I would prefer Amicus if this whole thing is to treat other sapien equally. From what I can tell, that seems to please Alex. Well, we'll find out soon enough after the trials. Alex's mood suddenly brightens. But anyways, I've really been enjoying our time together today. Like I said, it's so nice to be able to talk to someone who isn't my superior. I hope we can do this often while you're here. Yeah, of course. Wonderful. Alex raises the paw to look at the sun, at Vita. We should keep working. It's starting to get too hot out here. For the next several hours, we work around the garden before finally moving inside to walk around the palace a bit. He points to the door for things like the throne room and communal bath, but we never go inside, and he tells me I should only do so when I'm with Amicus. Eventually we move back to the dining room when Alexo suggests we watch the screens until our master returns. He says it will better acquaint me with wolfish culture. It takes me a moment to realize that I'm watching a short film starring wolves similar to Amicus. They're acting out scenarios about traveling to space and finding more sapiens. The sapient species they find are wolves in masks. I guess they don't really have CGIs because every effect looked practical. It's long, boring, and the acting's overly exaggerated, like they're in a silent film. Finally, after what it seems like a good 3 hours, Alex tells me that Amicus will be returning soon and that I might want to tidy up his room before he gets back. I'm relieved to cut the film short, and Alex and I part ways to go to our respective rooms. I'm surprised to see that it's already dark outside. Even with the shorter days, I guess mindlessly watching wolves overacting to other wolves in masks took up more time than I thought. On the way through the marble halls, I pause every now and then to look at the large murals on the walls, depicting everything from wolves swimming to wolves swinging swords at the other canines. In the great halls is the largest mural, and it depicts 5 wolves. The features are flat and lacks any sort of perspectives, making the muzzle looks a bit askew. 2 larger wolves loom over the other 3. One is white with a feminine shape, while the larger of the 2 is black and holding his paw to his chest. Around his head is a wreath. Who are we romancing? We're romancing is buff wolf, but nothing has happened yet. But things are gonna pick up pretty soon. But hey, well. Of the 3 smaller wolves, political drama made me forget the romance. Yeah, this game is interesting because it does talk a lot about like politics, but I do think it's kind of interesting. So it's not really like a practical like romance visual novel, but I think that's why I kind of like it, because it's like it gives you more of like the perspectives of the world of Adastra and what they're going through and stuff like that. Like I think the world building for this game is quite good. Of the 3 smaller wolves, one is also clearly feminine while another is white. I wonder if this might be Cassius and Virginia, which would leave the remaining wolves in the middle to be Amicus. Here I thought aliens were politic free. He's skinnier, and I wonder if this might be him as a child or a teenager. A glowing wreath flows above his head. Who is this? Ahem. I jump at someone clear their throat very loudly next to me. Oh, it's Kato. I turn around and find myself staring at Kato, the advisor. He looks me up and down for a moment. At least I think he does. More silence. I open my mouth to respond, then I remember what Amicus told me. I let my eyes unfocus and my mouth droop open a bit. Kato's ear twitch at the sound I make, then clears his throat again. Hello, Kenny, was it? How are you enjoying your first day in the palace? I wonder if I should keep droning, or if I should at least answer the question. I'm technically a sapient, so I suppose it's okay if I sort of understand. Oh, good. The left side of Kato's scarred face twitches as he waits for more, but I don't give him anything. Good, good. I trust that Alexios showed you around the palace. It's a bit of a stifling life behind these walls, but hopefully with time we will be able to take you out to the city. I cross my eyes a little. Oh, I like it. Yes, so where are you from again, exactly? There's something behind this wolf's words. Something there that's a little more innocent curiosity. Oh, big rock planet by stars. Kato waits, and again I don't see anything more. Do you have a name for the planet? Yeah, big rock planet. Kato massages the left side of his forehead, looking a little bit annoyed. Big rock planet. With water. Kato stares. So big rock planet with water. I nod dumbly. Kato sighs loudly and stalks off, not even bothering to end the conversation. Wonderful, now I have a headache. And with that, he disappears around the corner. I decided I did an okay job, as Kato seemed to think that I'm a massive idiot. I make my way quickly to Amicus' room, glad to not run into anyone else. There isn't much to do. Amicus' room is spotless, so after meandering around and smoothing the bed covers over, I choose to sit down on the sofa and wait. Despite the fact that I've only been up for what's probably been 10 hours, I'm exhausted. Maybe I won't have any trouble adjusting to the shorter days. As I start to doze, there's a sudden clattering sound towards the door. I jump and see Amicus come in, wheeling in a tray with several plates on top of it, heaped high with food. He grins at me and I get a feeling of relief at seeing him. Hello, sorry, I suppose Alex didn't tell you that they set these outside the door on the 15th hour. He treats you well? Yeah, he was nice. Amicus wheeled the cart up to the sofa, then flopped back onto it next to me, making the whole thing shake. Ugh, that was a long day. Are you okay? Amicus opens one eye at me. Barely. I had to go over math today and my head feels like it's going to explode. Didn't help that Bulbas kept cracking me over the head with a stick when I answered wrong. Wow, that sounds harsh. Don't worry, it was nothing compared to the one you gave me. Amicus smirks and I can't help but smile back at his teasing. He seems to have become more comfortable around me with how relaxed he is. I am sorry about that. Don't be, and stop all apologizing for it. Now, let's wash up and eat. My stomach felt hollow since breakfast. We both go to the restroom to rinse our hands in the sink before heaping our plates with food. It's more of the same with breads and meat and olives, but there's also a good amount of other vegetables and fruits that I have had a hard time identifying. Amicus shows me how to combine the fruits and cheese on the bread, and I find myself really starting to like the smelly spread, as long as I ignore the smell. Compared to breakfast, Amicus really wolfs down a lot of food. He probably ends up eating about 3 times as much as me. All the while, he tells me about his scary instructor and how he punishes him way more than Cassius. Well, does he usually get the answers right? Well, yeah, but he should help me understand rather than smack my ears. That doesn't help anything unless he has the information in his stick and is bashing it into my brain somehow. Don't worry, I hate math too. Well, I'm better in other things like literature and history. Ha! Cassius is hopeless at remembering battles. Amicus flexes a bicep. And he can forget about wrestling. He could never beat me in a fight. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. So yes, he can have the maps all he wants. The trials don't involve that anyway. What are these trials you guys keep talking about? Amicus takes a big gulp of wine, gasping when he finally pulls the goblet away from his face. Well, Cato is considering using to decide the next emperor. Essentially 3 trials: music and dance, rhetorics, and finally combat. And whoever wins those become emperor? Well, whoever wins 2 out of the 3. Combat is last, so that's if one of us wins the first 2, it won't come to that. I'm really just hoping that Cato chooses me in the next few days now that he's seen you, but if the trials do happen, you have nothing to worry about. Amicus grins at me confidently. I don't. I'm better than Cassius in at least 2 of those things, perhaps even music and dance. You know, I believe you, but one thing I know about you is how overly confident you are when it comes to certain things. Why do you say that? Our entire experience on the ship, maybe? That's different. I was doing something I didn't really understand. I understand my studies aside from math. Amicus leans back, finally one paw on his stomach. Anyways, how was your day? Did Alex show you around? Amicus starts to grab the remaining food to set aside on his own plate. Yeah, I realized there isn't much to do. Yeah, it was a bit of a bad day. I have tomorrow off from studying though, so we can do something entertaining. Like what? Oh, I don't know, go swimming, go to the baths, talk, you name it. Maybe eventually we can go to the city too. The city outside? Well, everything's outside. I mean, the one I can see across the lake? Yes. That one, Adastra City, the capital of our empire. Oh, isn't it kind of small for that? I mean, it looks really nice, but it kind of looked like an average sized city. Amicus frowns. I think it's quite large. How big are cities on Earth? I shrug. I don't know, pretty big, millions of people. Amicus raises an eyebrow. Millions? Yeah. I wonder if Lingua is translating everything correctly. Why? How big is Adastra? The city, just over 5 million. The world's population is 80 million. Oh. How many humans are there? Like 7 billion? Amicus chokes. What? Is that a lot? That's preposterous. Do you not have population controls measures put in place? Well, not in most places. Amicus shakes his head. Well, you are parentless, so I guess it makes sense your species might be so misguided. Yeah, you could say that. Amicus seems to try very hard to choose the last word, even though he's still being very condescending. He seems to notice my annoyance, though. Well, is your species doing well? Is your planet able to sustain such a population? Sort of. I guess there are problems. Amicus strokes his chin. Well, I suppose when I become emperor, I could ask the parents about your species. The whole thing is a real mystery, but it's clear that we must overlooked your people somehow. He smiles at me. Maybe we could even bring you into our fold again. Whoa, hang on a second. Images of the Roman spaceship descending from the heavens to enslave the human race, all because of me, flash through my mind. You know, Alex told me that about what you do to the other sapiens. It doesn't sound like something humans would want to be part of. What did he tell you? The whole enslavement thing? Enslavement? What you do to your children? Well, that's a harsh word for it. No, it's the right word. Humans have done the whole indentured servant thing back on Earth, and it never turned out well for the servant. Amicus' ears goes down a bit. And as misguided as humans might be, we've at least abolished slavery. I noticed Amicus' ears turning red. Maybe he never expected to be lectured on ethics by a human. Oh, well, I do mean to change things a bit when I become emperor. A bit? I mean, things can't change all at once. It has to be gradual. Amicus flicks his tail in annoyance at me. Listen, I agree with you. We've been trying to change the things we've treated our children for generations. My grandfathers and father both worked towards this. Well, while that's messed up and definitely wrong, I think the intelligent things might even be worse. Well, what intelligent thing? The grimace on Amicus' face tells me that he might already know the answer. The way you stunted intelligence in the children you uplifted? Amicus is silent for a moment. I can tell that all of this is making him very uncomfortable. I have to ask myself again how I got to this point, sitting on a sofa debating ethics with a prospective Emperor Wolf. He finally folds his arms and huffs. Again, I agree with you on all this. I don't like the way we treated our children. In the end, I truly feel that becoming a more compassionate and united emperor will lead to a better outcome for everyone. It's going to take small steps, but understand that it's something I mean to fix. And stop saying you like I did it. I was born into this. I've come to realize how much of an open book Amicus is as a person, so I don't doubt his words. Well, as long as Cassius doesn't become emperor, Amicus snorts. Not a chance. Well, if he does, it sounds like he's going to reverse all of that. And I'm saying there's no chance of it. Wait, how much has Alex been telling you? It was a short conversation. I asked him about the Empire. I didn't, but I don't want to get Alex in trouble in case he wasn't just supposed to tell me. Cassius seems like a terrible person, by the way, and I'm not just talking about his personality. He wants to keep people enslaved. It's complicated. He's just very traditional, but again, there's no chance. I sigh as the wolf's overconfidence, but he doesn't know his brother far better than I do. Wait, what? No, I think he does know his brother far better than I do. What is that? I sigh at the wolf's overconfidence, but he doesn't know his brother far better than I do. I doubt that. Well, I'm at least glad I'm behind the right wolf and getting myself home. The right wolf? Yeah, I can't imagine being under your brother. Amicus glances at the plate he's been building with food. Speaking of, I'm going to bring this to Alex in the garden. Oh wait. Did you want to accompany me? I run a hand through my hair, feeling the grimness from the 2 days of no shower. Actually, can I use the shower while you're gone? I feel kind of gross. Oh yeah, sure. Just step in and starts up. There's a screen on the wall that controls temperature. It has a color spectrum that you can drag a finger across. I'll figure it out. Alright, well, I should be back by the time you're finished. And with that, Amicus bounces a plate of food in his paw as he strides out of the room, leaving me to go into the bathroom. I quickly use the toilet again, suddenly glad that I don't have to use a public toilet like the ones... I keep pressing it. Like the ones I seen drawings of in my Roman history books. The shower is easy enough to understand and the water is immediately warm and pleasant, so I don't have to bother with the temperature. There are several glass bottles of soap, so I choose the one that smells the best and give myself a quick wash. When I'm done, I grab a towel off the wall and dry off before wrapping it around my waist. I think about putting my clothes back on, but the idea of stepping back into that underwear has me hesitating. Instead, I open the door and am greeted to the sight of Amicus sitting on the edge of the bed, looking off to the side, a paw on his lap, holding a brush. His head snaps in my direction before he immediately averts his eyes. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to see. I thought you'd be dressed. Hey, it's fine. I've got a towel on. Slowly, Amicus turns his gaze back to me, eyes drifting down my torso before immediately snapping back up again. I thought you hated any sort of nudity. Not really, just the genitals. Even though I don't hate it, it's just more private. Oh. Amicus seems to be staring at me, and I start to feel a little self-conscious. Is everything okay? Amicus looks away again. Sorry, I'm just not used to seeing you like that. I've only seen humans with clothing, so I just sort of imagine you always be like that way. Well, my clothes are dirty, so I was going to ask you about maybe getting some clean ones, at least until you can get me that tailor. Oh, of course. Come, send us some robes from storage. Children's robes, please. He's falling in love by looking at my naked body? Is that how that works? Yes, Amicus. Thanks. Of course. I stand there awkwardly for another few seconds until Amicus seems to snap back to reality again. He holds up the brush. Anyways, I thought maybe you'd like to be groomed too. I feel it's only fair after what you did for me. Oh, well, it's only on my head. Which head? All the easier for me then. Amicus grins. Well, alright. I walk over to the bed and sit with my back to the woof. Amicus adjusts his seating to face me more directly, then starts to run the brush gently through my hair. We sit in silence for a bit, and I start to enjoy the feeling of the brushing, especially the way the firm bristles run across my scalp, giving me shivers up and down my neck. Sorry for talking so much earlier. I'm not used to being able to talk to someone. The palace is a bit lonely, so having a friendly conversation with someone other than Calm is a bit of a novelty. Amicus chuckles. That was probably why I was having so much fun. So much trouble focusing on my studies today. I was so excited to come back home and speak with you. It's happening. Hearing that makes me feel a little bad for the wolf. I suppose being the prospective emperor doesn't allow you to have many friends, and being in such an empty palace definitely seems lonesome. I guess this is why Alex told me basically the same thing. You're fine, and I didn't mean to be too harsh earlier. I know it's not your fault. No, I think we're on the same page on that one. All the more reasons to unite against Cassius, eh? Oh. As if forgotten something, Amicus' other paw comes around my side, and on his paw I see 2 purple grapes. I managed to snatch a few of those of Alexios' earrings. He wasn't too happy about that. Ha ha ha. Want one? Seriously? I take one more out of being nice to Amicus than anything, but when I bite into it, I can't help but notice how juicy and sweet it is. Amicus talks to me with the grape in his mouth. I don't know why, but his grape earrings always taste the best. By the way, if you don't mind, I invited Alex to our outing tomorrow. Cassius is going to be away to do some speeches and is leaving Alex behind for once. Of course not. We got along really well. I lean my head back, allowing the wolf to continue the brushing. Your hair, you call it. It's not like a wolf's fur, but it's rather nice. Why would you wear your food? Welcome back. I smile. Thank you, Amicus. If you like, I can do this for you every day. I feel that's fair. I have to admit that I really like this, so I accept. Yeah, sure, it feels really nice. I hear some thumping sound and I imagine it's Amicus' tail wagging against the bed. So, washing you, brushing you, and making you smell nice are all my duties. Well, that and accompany me to important meetings and public outings, but all you do during those is stand there and look civilized. Yeah, that's what you keep telling me. This all seems pretty easy. Though, there is one thing you can do for me before I go to bed. What? Well, a full body massage. I look over my shoulders at him. Or we can just stick with the other duties. I laugh and Amicus' ears come back up. He continues to brush for a while longer before finally setting it aside. There, looks much better now. I gently ran a hand over my hair and have to agree that it feels softer than it ever felt before. But anyways, Kenny, I'm looking forward to these months ahead with you, and even though we start off a bit poorly. I look back at the wolf and his earnest but tentative smile. He's definitely a man of contradictions, rash half of the time, but considerate most of the time. I'm not sure what to make of him, but at this point I feel like I can at least trust him, and that's saying a lot after what he put me through. I smile back. Yeah, me too. I thought the beach scene's gonna be like pretty soon, but damn, it was pretty long. I'm almost there. I at least want to get through the beach scene and then I'll probably stop for today. The next day, Amicus wakes me up by gently shaking my shoulder. Hey, Kenny, wake up. I roll over my sofa, groggily pulling the blankets up around me as I shiver. It's so cold in here. Oh, I can turn up the heat if you like. It's just that I tend to sweat a little when it's too warm. Could just give me a better blanket. Of course. I'm just in my underwear. My Romanesque underwear. Last night, Amicus has shown me a bit awkwardly how to tie it on. While it's comfortable, it always feels a little loose, and there's a constant worry that it's just going to drop off at some point. Anyways, we should get going soon. Alex is probably already waiting for us. I rub the sleep from my eyes, drawing the blanket around myself a bit more tightly. For what? We're going to the island for a picnic. You wanted something to do, didn't you? Oh, yeah, right. I get up and grab my new robe off the back of the sofa. Don't bother with the shower today since we'll be swimming. Well, I will anyway. Amicus moves to the bathroom and pulls out a large glass bottle filled with a clear liquid. He pours it into his glass cap and notices me watching. Oh, would you like to try some? I suppose your species cares about dental hygiene considering your teeth looks alright. What is it? A wash that simply cleans the teeth. Keeps the breath from becoming offensively odorous. He holds out the cap and I take it from him and he just pours the liquid straight into his mouth. I sniff it and though I expected a minty smell, it's floral instead. Is this all you use to clean your teeth? Amicus switches the liquid around in his mouth for a while, then spits it into the sink. It removes any surface level debris, but you should get a deeper cleaning from a drone at least once a week. I can show you that later too if you like. That kinda sounds terrifying. Maybe. Honestly, you're supposed to use this every morning, but I forgot yesterday and all the excitement that we had. I left the liquid-filled cap to my mouth and with just a little hesitation I pour it in. The taste reminds me of walking into a room that had just been sprayed with air freshener. That doesn't sound nice. Not exactly pleasant, but when I spit into the sink, I notice bits of what I assume to be plaques floating down the drain, and my mouth does feel a lot more refreshed. Guess it works. Amicus seems impatient though, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. Ready, Kenny? Yeah, sure. Do you have a bathing suit or something? Like clothes for swimming? Amicus steps out of the room and into the main hallway as I follow him. At the same time, I finish tying up my robe, trying to make sure everything's correctly in place. No, we swim nude, but if you prefer to have something on, you could use your undergarments. I can't imagine that would be comfortable, but Alex does it. Just as he says that cat's name, I see him standing in the hall, carrying a heavy-looking basket in both arms. Once he sees this, he smiles. Hello, Amicus, and hello, Kenny. It's good to see you again. How are you this morning? I'm about to respond, but Amicus is already speaking. Good, good. You got all the food, Alex. Yeah, though are you sure it's not against protocol that I took all this? Well, it would be if I didn't approve it. Now, let's go. Alex and I follow the excited wolf swishing tail as we head towards the front archway, an area that I haven't been to before. Ahem. I hear a familiar grunt. We all stop and turn around. Kato stands there, watching us stoic as always. Where might you three be off to? Hello, Kato. We're going for a swim. A swim? I can't exactly tell what's going on behind the visors, but the tone in his voice doesn't seem all that enthusiastic. Amicus seems to sense it too. Yes. A moment of silence goes by. You know you have combat training today, Amicus. Well, yes, but only for a part of the day. We'll be back shortly after it's noon. Kato's face twitches and I can sense the disapproval coming off of him in waves. Then he turns his head slightly in my direction. You're taking the pets. I quickly fix my face into a middle distant stare. Yes, I thought we could all use a little fresh air. Kato goes on staring for a moment, and I start to believe what Amicus said about Kato not having a good mood. Finally, the old wolf turns his attention back to Amicus. Well, I have some of my own duties to take care of this morning, but I expect you to be in the amphitheater by the 11th hour. Do not be late. With that, he turns and stalks off down the hall before disappearing around the marble corner. Amicus lets out a breath. Ugh, though he was going to cancel our outings altogether. Alright, let's go before anyone else tries to stop us. Amicus quickly turns towards the archways again and leads us out into the warm morning air. You seem very eager, Amicus. I really like the music here. Sometime I will listen to this soundtrack. It's very peaceful. Well, I haven't been swimming for weeks now and I need to get a good exercise. As we walk, I notice Alex huffing and puffing, struggling with the basket, so I hold out my hand. Here, do you need help? Oh, don't want to inconvenience you. I reach out and take the handle of the basket, and Alex resists as I pull it out of his paws. It's heavy, but not impossible to carry. I heft it in both my hands as we walk down the path towards the lake. Are you sure it's not too heavy? I'm fine, though I think someone else might be able to handle it a bit better than us, especially since I imagine it's mostly his food. Amicus' ears perks up at my pointed statement. Oh, is it heavy? Amicus turns and yanks the baskets from me, easily swinging it in one paw. Should have said something, though I'll have to give it back once we get to the shore. I'll be swimming to the island. I frown. Is it far? Well, of course, you'll be taking the sightseer. What's that? Alex moves up to walk alongside me. You'll see, it's sort of a hovercraft for sightseeing as the name implies. After a few minutes, we reach the shore where there's a small gazebo with various boats underneath it. There's also what sorts of looks like a jet ski, and next to it there's a glass box with an open top. This is what Alex and Amicus walks up to, the wolf leaning over to drop the picnic basket inside. Once he does that, he strips off his underwear and tosses it into the glass craft as well. I look away and notice Alex do the same, his ears down as he blushes furiously. Trying to ignore the wolf, I walk up to the strange little craft, noticing that there's an open space on the side of the box that allows us to get in. The floor is glass as well, and I can see the dirt and vegetation underneath us. Race you to the island! Amicus cheerfully waves at us before running into the lake, the wolf's bushy tail swishing around over his naked butt. So inappropriate. Alex shakes his head and turns to a slanted glass panel attached to the side of the craft. He touches it and several bright characters come to life on the screen. A few seconds later, our little glass craft levitates off the ground and starts to move over the water, about a very slow pace. Wow, what is this thing? A sightseeing craft, parental tech, so it's very safe and easy to navigate. I watch as we start to float over the slightly choppy water. Amicus is already about 10 meters out in front of us. He's a pretty good swimmer. We're just slow. That's why we turned this into a race, because he knows we won't beat him, even if we're going at full speed. Sure enough, Amicus starts widening the gap. I notice Alex's ear twitching about as he navigates our craft, looking left and right while avoiding looking at the water altogether. Do you not like swimming? Oh, I hate large bodies of water. It's a bit stressful coming out here, honestly, but the island is serene, and for the most part, it makes the trip worth it. Ah, feelings are kind of like that on my planet, too. I cringe inwardly as I almost reveal the name of my planet. It was pretty blatant, but Alex goes on like he didn't even notice. Well, yes, similar origin and all, but honestly, I'm a bit surprised that you're doing so well yourself, or that you would even decide to come out here. That comes off as strange to me, but I'm distracted watching Amicus get closer to the island. Maybe only about 15 meters now. I start to get an idea though. Judging by the distance between us, Amicus and the island, I feel like I might be able to beat him. I grin and start stripping off my robe. What are you doing? We're not at the island yet. Alex blushes fiercely again, looking away. I'm gonna beat him. What? I grab onto the edge of the glass barrier and swing my legs over it. No! Alex actually tries to lunge for me, his paws just barely missing as I plunge into the lake. I don't have much time to think about why, because I'm instantly surrounded by freezing cold water. I come up gasping from the shock of it before I spot the direction of the island and start swimming towards it. It's been a while since I've really had a chance to swim. I've always been pretty good at it though, and soon enough I get into the familiar motions of putting one arm ahead of the other while turning my head to take breaths. While this is going on, I can still hear Alex shouting behind me. But then, just as I'm feeling that I'm about to gain on Amicus, I get rammed by something heavy and furry that suddenly starts to pull me into its grasps. At first I wonder if I've been captured by some kind of Adastrian sea monster. Maybe that's why Alex is freaking out? But just about to resign myself to that fate. Kenny, don't worry, I've got you. I stop fighting against the big furry arm wrapping around me as I feel Amicus kicking his legs under mine, sort of pulling me towards the island that's just a few dozen meters away now. What are you doing? I try to pull away, but Amicus keeps me in this fierce death grip, refusing to loosen up at all. By Galleon! I look up and see Alex is dumping out the basket full of food into the sightseer before throwing the basket at me. Use this, it will keep you above water. It hits me in the face before gently bobbing away in the waves. What the hell is going on? I tried to pull away from Amicus one last time, but give up, leading into his chest with a bitter expression on my face. He kicked his feet awkwardly under mine before I finally feel our feet drag into the shifting sand under the water. Even then, Amicus doesn't let me go. He keeps his firm grip around my wrist as he pulls me to the shore, bringing us onto the little island. Oh, are you alright? Amicus puts his paws on my shoulder, his eyes looking into mine, breathing heavily. Yes, what the hell just happened? I rub my nose where the basket hit me in the face, and that's when Alex's little craft pushes gently onto the sand. He hops out, running up to us. I don't know what happened, Amicus. He just jumped out. I'm sorry, I couldn't stop him. Alex bows deeply, ears flat and trembling. I start to wonder if maybe there's something in the water that I wasn't supposed to come into contact with. I looked at my skin, but everything seems fine. I finally look up at Amicus, trying to ignore his dick as it swings around between his legs. Amicus seems to notice at the same time and covers up his crotch with his paws, keeping the other on my shoulder. Can you just explain to me what happened? Amicus frowns at me. Oh, well, you can't swim. You're hopeless in water. That's why I wanted you in the craft. Alex's lips trembles a bit as he was about to cry. You're not born with natural swimming abilities. Whenever a primate falls into the water, they're almost sure to drown. Are you sure you're okay? I'm so sorry. The way they explain to me how primates works reminds me that they still might not consider me to be in the same intelligent level as them. It's like I don't know my own species' capabilities, that I just jumped in because I'm a stupid barbarian. It irritated me, but both of them look almost traumatized. Especially Amicus. The paw's not concealing his crotch is still firmly locked on my shoulder, as if worried I'm going to go running off into the water again. Guys, I can swim. I mean, yeah, it's not natural for us, but we can learn. I've known how to swim since I was a kid. They still stare back at me as if not understanding. Really? Well, yeah, do you think I would just jump out of the thing to just drown myself? Amicus let go of my shoulder to cover his dick with both paws now. I don't know. I know you're unhappy here, so I wasn't sure. I laugh. I'm not that unhappy. I'm fine, and you know I'm not an idiot. I thought you know this by now, Amicus. Things got quiet then, Alex looking off to the side with his ears down, Amicus standing awkwardly and covering his crotch with both paws. So, did I ruin our outing? No, I just need to remember that you're not a typical child. Now, let's try to relax and have some fun. It's the whole reason we came out here after all. Alex still looks a bit dejected, looking off towards the sightseer. I ruined our food, I'm sorry. Alex bows again. I remember how Alex isn't really supposed to know about my intelligence or anything about me, really. But if he's bothered by the conversation that just took place, he's not showing it. Amicus shrugs. Stop bowing, it makes me feel strange. The naked wolf amples over to the craft as he leans over to look at the cluttered mess inside. His tail lifts and we get a view of his butt again. Alex looks away blushing, but at this point I think I've given up on trying not to see the various naked parts of this wolf. Being in the news seems pretty natural for him, even if he tries to hide it from us. I think we can salvage us a decent meal out of this. The wine's good. Amicus lifts a large bottle of wine into the air, still not turning around. I'll sort through it, Amicus. Please enjoy your swimming exercise in the meantime. Alex quickly moves to start gathering up the food, head down. Well, alright. And ears up, Alex. We're here to have fun. Alex puts his ears up, but doesn't lift his head to look at us. Oh, right. The wolf grins at me, dripping his muzzles down at his crotch. The cats are just like you when it comes to this sort of things. Anyways, I'll get in the water so you don't have to keep averting your eyes. You should join me now that you know you can swim, Kenny. I start to follow and look back at the cat. Do you need any help, Alex? Alex shakes his head quickly, and I can see that he's still blushing. Go on and swim, Kenny. I'll just be sunbathing anyway. There isn't much room in the sightseer for two people, and Amicus seems to be waiting for me, so I follow the wolf out towards the water. Intelligent conversation and a swimming partner. I have a pet that can do it all. Amicus shoulders me as we walk along the beach, making me stumble. Hey! I say it warningly, even though I know he's joking. You know, I have to wonder why you take me out here if you didn't think I could swim. Everyone enjoys the beach, whether they can swim or not. The sand becomes too hot as I walk along the beach, so I have to jog the last 10 meters or so to the wet sand, sighing as a wave cools my burning feet. Amicus catches up. Too hot? I suppose I should have remembered that you're a bit more fragile than the other species. Fragile? Well, a bit. I mean, when we fall on the ship, I had to hold back a lot. I give Amicus a shove, the wolf stumbling more than he would have if he wasn't covering up his junk. Whoa, hey! With that, I wade out into the shallows, the water quickly coming up to my shoulders. I stick to the shore, treading water as I watch. Amicus splash around, doing a sort of lunging swim that reminds me of the butterfly stroke, just as more clumsy. After a few minutes, he swims up next to me. You doing alright? I'm still unsure of you being out in the water. Hey, don't start. I know what I'm doing. Alright, but even experienced swimmers can have accidents, so let me know if you need help or anything. Amicus stands right in front of me, his fur plastered tightly against his chest. I will. The wolf shields his eyes from the sun with a paw as he looks around. Anyways, do you want to have a race around the island? We can stay in the shallows. I actually used to do it with cats all the time as a pup. I look around the small island, deciding that the distance is short enough that I can manage it. Alright, sure. Alright, Kenny, but be warned, I won't go on easy on you just because you're a primate. I swim past Amicus. Go! Well, hey! I heard a wolf splash noisily behind me as he tries to catch up. I do fairly well for the first half of our little race, managing to get around the backside of the island without the wolf catching up to me. I notice that this part of the island is covered in dense trees and vegetations with no beach to speak of. It's at this point that Amicus overtakes me with his big lunging strokes, breathing hard each time he comes up. I realize how hard he's trying, and I wonder if he's actually afraid of losing. It's clear that there's a competitive edge to him, and I guess that makes sense if he's so determined to be Cassius to the thorn. As we come around the final bend, I fall further behind, quickly losing stamina as the muscle burns in my arms and legs. Amicus seems to notice and slow down a bit towards the end, allowing me to catch up some before he reaches the same spot we started. For a moment, we both just gasp for air in the shallows, though Amicus grins. I win, huh? I roll my eyes and wait until I can breathe evenly again. Whatever. You got way more muscle than I do. That isn't really an advantage. Amicus still breathing heavily, and I wonder how much effort he actually put into beating me. Besides, I've got all the fur weighing me down and you don't. You know, competitive swimmers actually shave their fur down near the skin. That makes me wonder what a shaved wolf would look like. Guess I just have bad stamina. Actually, you did a lot better than I thought you would. Had me worried the first few minutes. What do you call that swimming style? I don't know. I think it's just called freestyle. Amicus moves closer, his breathing finally under control. Could you teach me to swim? Looks like you've already got that down. I mean, your style of swimming. You beat me, what, didn't you? Why would you want to learn my style? I say that, but I think I know what Amicus is getting at. He has a very clumsy way of swimming, sort of like he's fighting the water itself. Amicus harumps, blowing some droplets of water from his nose. It looked effective. I just like to try it if you're willing to show me. I smile. Alright. For the next hour I showed the wolf how to swim freestyle. At the beginning it kind of feels like I'm teaching a toddler how to swim. The first few tries end up with him thrashing around the water like he's about to drown, showering me with lake waters until I have to reach out and grab him to make him stop. I decide to start with the arms first, standing in the shadows and showing him how I put one arm ahead of the other instead of a rhythm. Again, I had to stand close to the naked wolf, grabbing his big furry arms and showing him how to move them. Once he has that down, he quickly learns how to add his feet into the mix, and pretty soon he's swimming back and forth, picking up speed to the point that I have no hope of keeping up with him. I realized then that Amicus is a very fast learner. Ahaha, this is so much better. Do you know any other styles? Amicus paddles happily around me. Well, I guess back floating, but not really. I'm not a professional swimmer. Amicus stands, water running down his furry body. Want to race again? He grins at me. I laugh. No, I'm exhausted after teaching you all that. Oh, don't be such a pup. Are you afraid of losing again? Amicus winks, aligning his words. I think about flicking him on the nose like he's a misbehaving dog, but I resist the urge. No, I'm tired and I'm hungry, and if I stay out any longer, I'm probably going to get a sunburn. Reminding Amicus that there's food on the beach seems to change his mind, and he follows me into the shadows. Oh, that's right, you have no fur. Sometimes I get burned around my nose if I stay out too long. Are you alright? I felt Amicus rub a paw over my shoulder and shiver. Well, we'll know by tonight, but I feel alright. As we trudge onto the beach, I see Alex curled up into the blanket, his fur bright and shiny under the sun. Judging by the plates around him, he's already eaten. Amicus chuckles. Such a feline. Anyways, you better keep your eyes off of me. I want the fur to dry before I put my undergarments back on, so I'm going to stop covering up for you. Automatically, my eyes starts wandering towards the wolf before snapping back to look straight ahead. But then I start to think, I am going to be here for a while, as far as I know. Maybe I should get used to the whole nudity thing now? So this is the part where you can see the pee-pee, but I will cover the bottom of the screen so it doesn't show. If I could do it. Got it? No, that's not what to do. Yeah. I think about... Or you could just pick don't look. But I'm gonna look. It should be fine. It shouldn't show from here. But before I do that, I'm gonna go pee. Man, I don't know how people do these like long visual novel for a long periods of time, like voicing them out. I definitely feel it in my throat right now. Okay, so wait, let me it should be okay. So when in Rome. Okay, you guys can't see the text. Okay, so I mean, it's not that big of a deal, and this is a normal thing for the wolves. Why not get used to it? Hopefully I covered enough. So I look. Okay, good. This is fine, this is fine. Amicus grunts in surprise when he sees me not bothering to avoid looking this way. Oh, human! Amicus' paw snaps, covering his crotch again. I smirk. What? I might as well get used to it if this is normal around here, right? Though I gotta say, you're acting like it isn't. Amicus pauses, then pulls his paws away from his crotch, his face flushed. You just surprised me, is all. Anyways. Amicus walks stiffly up the beach, past the sleeping Alex while I try to keep up. It's kind of satisfying to see how embarrassed he is, considering how much he's been teasing me about it. And honestly, now that I've seen it, it really isn't a big deal at all. The wolf's... Oh... The wolf's thing and balls are just like humans. Sure, maybe with a little more fur on the balls and a darker shade on the hoo-ha, but still similar. We reach the sightseer, and I see that Alex has laid out the food in a neat little line of plates. Though some of the pastries look a bit squashed, everything seems to have survived the emergency dumping that they suffered. Amicus grabs a few larger plates of quiche and what looks like fruit pastries. Meanwhile, I grab a folded blanket, the bottle of wine for Amicus, and a smaller bottle of vegetable-tasting juice I had yesterday for myself. We make our way to the shade of the trees before I roll out the blanket and Amicus starts to tie his underwear back on. Finally, he sits down with a huff before reaching out for the wine. Okay, so then it should be fine. Boop. And we're back. You sure you don't want any? He asked before guzzling some of it down. I mean, maybe at dinner or something, but I'd rather not get buzzed right now. Oh, really? I had to drink quite a bit more than this bottle to become inebriated. I guess that explains how he can drink so much of it every meal. Well, you're a lot bigger. Anyways, this stuff is great. I easily pull out the cork on my own bottle before drinking down the ice-cold juice. Amicus pulls a face. Ugh, Birdie? That stuff tastes awful. Wine is so much better. Amicus immediately goes for the fruit pastry, shoving two in his mouth at the same time. Maybe you just prefer sweet things? And slow down, don't you take time to enjoy your food? Amicus frowns at me with his mouth full. I do enjoy it, that's why I eat it first. I smile and then go after one of the quiche instead. Did you actually pick don't look? No, I picked look. It's only for a short moment where he shows his pee-pee. We eat in silence for a few moments, and I remember what Kato had said earlier. When do you need to be at the thing Kato was talking about? Combat practice. We've got at least an hour yet. And what does that involve? Oh, just striking and grapples. I'm just glad Cass isn't here to join us. I hate sparring with him. Really? You told me last night he can't even compete with you. That's exactly why. He has a condition where his bones are less dense than what is normal. Makes them easy to break. Because of this, I'm more of a training dummy for him than anything. Basically, he just uses as an excuse to punch me in the stomach. There isn't much I can do to retaliate that won't seriously injure him, so I prefer training with Kato. Didn't you tell Cassius you punched him yesterday? Amicus laugh. I did, didn't I? Well, that's why he was so offended, but now he knows not to bother you. I learned to be gentle with him since we were pups, but my limits can only be pushed so far, especially now that I have you. You said you used to get along with him when you were pups? Yes, but I think that had more to do with him admiring me when we were younger. He used to look up to me, which was preferable to how he is now. What happened? Amicus shrugs. We grew older, then Mother died, and he was always very close to her. They share a lot in common, including the disease. Amicus pokes around at the pastries before picking up that looks to be filled with red fruit. Then I suppose we've always been different philosophically, which would be fine if they weren't trying to take the throne from me. So, if you were next in line for the throne, how could Cassius just challenge you for it? Is that how it's supposed to work? No, not really. Kato is the one who decided to do things this way, which he can because he's the acting emperor. Cassius has been building a following amongst the wolves for the past several years. Amicus shakes his head. I thought he was simply trying to solidify his chances of becoming my advisor, but his speeches and writing were so different from my father's. I did realize he was cultivating a certain persona from the emperorship eventually, but I never thought Kato would buy into it just because of Cassius' popularity, but he did, and here we are. Amicus chews away a worrying large fly that lands near the plate. I thought I had more time anyways, a lot more time, but father's passing was sudden, so I'm left with what I have now. What happened to him, if you don't mind me asking? To father. His ship crashed while landing in Adastra City about 5 months ago. It's a rare thing to happen, but it does happen. I'm sorry. Well, he's with the parents now, so I'll see him again, but he should have had so much more time left, just like mother. How old was he? 157. I blink. He was 157? Yes. Years? Yes. Amicus looked at me confused. How long do you people live? It varies, obviously, but about 250 to 300 years? Wow. How long do your people live? Amicus looks slightly apprehensive. I don't know, 80, 100 if we're lucky. Oh. Amicus' ears falls. That's so short. Compared to you guys, yeah. Wait, how old are you? 20. How old are you? Amicus is still frowning. 23. That gives me some pause, trying to work out how much that would be in human lifespan. Wait, so are you an adult or... Amicus seems to recover. Well, adulthood varies among species and cultures, obviously, but legal adulthood is 20, so yes, I'm considered an adult. Huh, that's about the same as humans. But the difference is that you die a lot sooner. That concerned look again. I shrug. I've grown up with the idea, so it's not all that shocking to me. Amicus seems to be thinking. Well, maybe we can do something about it. I don't like the idea of you being through your fourth of your life when you've only just reached adulthood. I frown. Well, What are you going to do about it? We aren't able to live so long naturally. We take supplements and medications that slows the aging process. Maybe we can consider some for you. It's an interesting thought, but I don't like the idea of being a guinea pig for the wolfish medication. Maybe, but let's figure out this whole imper thing first. Alright. Amicus picks at his claws for a while, and it looks like he wants to say something, but he doesn't, and just stay quiet. Finally, just as I'm about to ask him what's wrong, he looks over at the sleeping Alex. I'll be right back. And with that, the wolf suddenly gets up and jogs over to the cat. I can't help but feel the conversation was left unfinished. But then I see Amicus get down on his paws and knees as if he's sneaking up on Alex. I frown and watch as the wolf gets closer, his paws reaching out for Alex's earring? I guess the wolf wasn't being very quiet because Alex suddenly rolls over and squeals at the wolf leaps at him. Amicus, no, 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 this is my best one, don't mess it up. I sigh and get up, a little reluctant to leave the shade as I make my way over to the pair. Alex has rolled up into a little ball, clutching at his ears as he tries to hide the grapes. Don't you dare! Do you want to tear my ears off? I'm being gentle. If you stop trying to fight it, it would make this easier. No! Alexios tries to roll away, then spots me. Kenny, help! I sigh and watch for a bit before deciding to save the poor cat. I look for an opening, then pounce on Amix's back, wrapping my arms around his neck and my legs around his waist, trying to throw him off balance. Oh ho ho, not so fragile now, are we? Amicus swings me back and forth as he's trying to throw me off, but not really putting any efforts into it. Meanwhile, Alex scrambles out from under the wolf before turning and giving him a shove. Oh! Amicus starts to topple backwards, and for a moment I think I'm about to get crushed between this 300-pound wolf and the sand, but Amicus turns as we fall, and we end up laying sideways on the beach. Alex stands to the side, quickly dusting himself off before adjusting his earrings, frowning. You know, I might as well stop wearing this thing. There's no point if half of it's plucked by the end of the day. Amicus just lays there and laughs. His laugh is infectious, so I laugh too. They're too good. Alex, maybe you should start wearing edible berries instead. Alex huffs as he looks down his nose at us. It's a cultural staple of my people, and honestly, what you're doing is rather disrespectful, especially as a prospective emperor. Amicus waves his paws dismissively, laying flat on his back next to me, his arms flopping over my head. Pwah! You're a friend. Obviously, I wouldn't do it to an actual ambassador. I am an actual ambassador, Amicus. Yes, but a friend, ambassador. Alex sighs. Anyways, thank you, Kenny. You should obey your masters, yes, but it is important to keep your masters in check when he oversteps his bounds. Hey, don't encourage insubordination, Alex. Amicus' big paws resting above my head comes down to ruffle my hair. I realize for the first time since I was abducted that I'm at ease. Happy, even. Then Alex looks at the sky. Amicus, what time is it? Amicus suddenly sits up with a grunt, also looking towards the sun. I don't know, is it close to the 11th hour? I was asleep, so I'm not sure. I asked Calm, but we're outside his boundaries. Amicus sits for a moment and sighs. Well, I suppose we should be off, just in case. We gather up the food and blankets. Don't you guys have like a portable clock or something? Amicus shrugs. We do, but usually I can just ask Calm. The wolf taps his ears. But like Alex said, his signal doesn't reach the island. Amicus is starting to look a little nervous, so we pick up the pace and pack ourselves into the sightseer. A bit more crowded now with the Amicus inside. When we're halfway to the shore, Amicus asks the time, then groans. Damn it, 11:30 hour. Okay. I'm gonna stop with this story here. I got past the beach part, which I'm happy. I at least got to that part. Oh, I'm sorry, my voice is giving in, and there's so much is gonna happen here, so I might as well just stop here and come back to this next time.